Hello, welcome to my channel, Cooking with Island Muchacha JA. Today we'll be making mackerel rundown, or as we say in Jamaica, mackerel rundown. We had this mackerel soaking in some water for a little while because it's very salty, and I'm going to opt to boil it just once. So I wanted to ensure that it is, has a chance to get rid of some of the salt before we actually boil it. So I'm going to go ahead now and put it in the pot that is already boiling. This will boil for about 15 minutes thereabout, or 15 to 20 minutes, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, here we have our seasonal vegetables, or I should say seasoning, because I didn't put any okra or anything like that in it at this time. Some persons opt to put okra in it, but at this time I'm not going to use any of that. I'm just going to go ahead and prepare some sweet pepper, or we call it bell pepper sometimes, some thyme, tomato, garlic. Again, the garlic is optional because not everybody likes garlic, and some onion right here. I'm going to prepare these seasoning at this time. I'm going to just cut them up and get them ready in the meantime. This time the tomato and the sweet pepper are all grown in our backyard. Go ahead and use a smaller knife. Okay, so you want to get the seed out, of course, because you don't normally cook with the seeds. I'm going to take that out. Okay, and then you're going to cut these seasoning up. This bell pepper, you don't want to cut it too small because it will have a little time to simmer, so you don't want it to be too small where once you start cooking it you find that okay, it's all cooked out. Some persons like the bell peppers a little, crispy or crunchy, you would say. There, we just have some green bell pepper today, so we're just going to use the green. You may also use the yellow ones if you have them, or even the red ones if you have them. Now these tomatoes, you might notice they are more like the plummy tomatoes or the grape tomatoes. They're smaller, much smaller. So we're gonna not cut them up too small. We can just halve them because they're already small, you can see, so we don't need to really cut them too much smaller, just in two like that. And that will do the trick. We're having a bit of overcast conditions today, so the lighting is just varying, but we're working with it. If we had some larger tomatoes, you would use less, but these are small, as I mentioned before, so you can use much more of them and play with it. Some more. And just like the sweet peppers, we don't want to make it too small, that it's all boiled out by the time it touches the coconut milk later on, because the coconut milk is a very important part of the ingredient here that we'll be using to make the rundown. That's what makes the rundown. All right, I'm almost through now with these tomatoes. Now chopping these garlic a little small, not too small. You can actually just grate it if you like, but we're just cutting up in small pieces. Okay, there we have it. The mackerel is all boiled. I'm just going to run it under the water a little bit, under the pipe, so just rinse out any little excess salt. Because you know, everybody's into the healthy eating these days. Nobody wants anything too salty. Although the mackerel rundown has to be just a little bit salty. It's better for the flavor like that, but you don't want it overly salty, as I've been saying before. Alright. So run it under the pipe a bit so that the water that is passing over, it passes right through, not just sitting in some salt water. Alright, and then I'm gonna go ahead now and pick out all these bones. The head we don't usually use. Some persons use it, but I don't usually use the head of the mackerel. Normally just take it off, break it off like that, and then we start picking it up, trying to get out all the bones, the main bones that are in it, come running down the center. Yes, so you can see them, some of them right here, quite long. Yes, so we're gonna go ahead and remove all those bones. You have to be careful to remove all these bones, especially if you have young children in your family. You have to be careful with that. The ones in the center are the easiest ones to remove first because they are the biggest ones. So you just try to remove those from the center. There's also a main bone that runs kind of along the back of the mackerel that you will remove as well. Okay, that piece looks just about done. Yes, that's it. Okay, and these you don't want to break them up too small because when you put them in the coconut milk, you don't want it to be all boiled out. So you make them a little bit chunky. There's also a main bone down the middle that we remove as well. When I get to that other side of the mackerel, you'll see it. Carefully. You see right down the center here, usually has the bone. So you kind of run your finger like that, just see if you feel anything. This one seems to be all clear. We have to go ahead. Alright, now onto this piece where you can actually see the main bone that we take from the center. This is one long bone that runs right down the center of the mackerel. I'm going to take that out first and then you can get to the other ones behind it. I told you earlier about the main bone on the back of the mackerel. You want to just get that one out as well. When I'm saying this, there's not like a definite rule because there are some people who like to pick up their mackerel with some amount of bone in it, but as I mentioned before, if you have small children, you want to remove as much of the bones as possible. That's good, that's all done. Alright, so I'm gonna just finish all this deboning. Now I'm going to go ahead and prepare the coconut milk. This is the coconut milk that we are using today. We're actually using coconut milk powder. Actually, in Jamaica, the original way is to use the dried coconut, grate it or blend it, and then extract the juice from it and you boil it. But this is a quicker way to do it. So this is kind of a shortcut that we are taking today. You can always use this milk powder if you cannot get a hold of the original dried coconut. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and prepare this now. Mix it in with a bit of water, get it to a nice thick paste. Okay, what's the date? All right, I'm going to add it to this bowl using 1 packet of this Grace coconut milk powder. It also comes in a liquid in a can. You can use that one as well. Okay, so now I've gone ahead and preheated the oil in this pan here. I'm going to just be adding a little bit of the thyme and maybe the garlic, because you know some persons only just boil the coconut milk down by itself without adding any seasoning, but you can add a little thyme if you wish, and maybe the garlic at this point. Then boil it down a little before you add the other seasoning. Okay, I notice the sun has come out again. Wow, that's good. Okay, here we are, we're adding the garlic. And a piece of the thyme to just a little hot string. Okay, turn down the stove a little bit now that it's starting a little frying action. So I can remove the cover once again and add the coconut milk now. For it to just simmer nicely. Now this we're going to allow it to simmer for about maybe 10 minutes or so. We'll cover it and leave it to simmer a while so that that nice custard can start forming. And then we will add the other seasoning and finally add the salted mackerel. Okay, here we have it now. That lovely custard has started to form. Look at it. Have a look at it. Can you see it forming? Yes, it's getting all creamy and the custard is on top. So at this point, we're going to add the salted mackerel. And let it simmer for about 5 minutes again. And then we will want again add some more seasoning, which will really be the balance of the seasoning that we'll be using. See that you have quite, because this is called a rundown, you know, rundown. That means you're supposed to have it all running, not supposed to be dry. If you turn up the stove too high, too fast, you find that it will all get dried out and then you don't have any rundown. So see that, we're going to give it just about 5 minutes. Still have enough rundown in liquid in the pot. Cover it for a little while to simmer. Once again, we have not put any Scotch bonnet in it because in my case I have a small child at home who likes to partake of our meals or general meals, so I haven't had the chance to cook it with this Scotch bonnet. But when we're finished, we normally apply a little pickle to our own dish that we're having. 5 minutes and we'll be back. Alright, we're back here now to have a look. Yes, that's simmered nicely. I'm gonna just go right ahead and add the other portion of the seasoning this time. And I mentioned earlier, for those of you who are just joining us on the video, that the tomato, sweet pepper, and the thyme came from our backyard garden. So sometimes you have to try to practice a little of eat what you grow and grow what you eat. So we've done just that. Oh, see all the nice colors coming together. Wow. I'm gonna turn up the stove a little bit more. Yes, I've been gauging this stove because I don't want it to dry out too quickly without us having all the seasoning getting a chance to simmer in. So there you have it now. All the seasoning is in. This will simmer for another, oh, look at that. Can you see the custard? How it has formed so nicely there. Yes, lovely. So there we are. Just trying to cover this in here. When we cover it once again for it to steam another 5 minutes or so, you will have a little, you know, the seasoning will spring a little bit of water also, so that will help to release a little more substance of fluid to it. So there we go. Oh well, we're back here. I believe this should be ready now. Should have simmered down enough. Let me have a look, have a check. Oh yes, that is more than enough now. I think it is ready. This rundown is ready now. I'm just gonna go ahead and add a little black pepper to it. Not too much. Black pepper, I just add a little bit. If you had pimento, you could have also cracked it and put it in. And I'm going to opt to add a little bit of black pepper to the mix. Yes, not too fast. A small bowl, yeah. That's enough. I think that's enough now. That should really be enough in now. Wow. Smells so good. Alright, so there you have it. Mackerel rundown, Jamaican style. All finished. That's your finished product right there. You can see the custard, nicely formed and it's runny. That's the consistency you want to aim for. This dish can be had with fried dumplings, green bananas, or roasted breadfruit, as we had some pre-prepared here, and we're going to put in a bit of avocado with that as well for our finished plate. Salt mackerel rundown with avocado and the roasted breadfruit. This dish can be had at breakfast, lunch, dinner, whatever time you please, but in Jamaica it's customary to have it for breakfast. Thank you for watching. Remember to like, share and subscribe. Until next time, ciao!